Yo, what is up guys? It is Nick or the Notorious Fantasy back again today with another fantasy football video. Today's video is middle round running backs to avoid in your 2019 fantasy football draft. Before I start the video, I'd like to ask you guys, could please go down below and click that subscribe button. It would not only mean a lot to me, it's going to mean a lot to you because I'm going to help you guys dominate your draft with these triple uploads every single day. And then during the regular season, you guys are going to be getting videos every single day that are like waiver wires, matchups, trades, all of that stuff. And then during the postseason and the playoff, which is also the playoffs, you're going to be getting all those videos too. And then you're going to dominate your Super Bowl, your championship, and get that championship trophy. And if you don't already have a fantasy football championship trophy, go down below and check out my sponsor, the Fantasy Bros, fantasybros.com. If you use code Notorious at checkout, you get 5% off. So let's get into this video. Like I said, it's middle round running backs to avoid in your 2019 fantasy football draft. And if you guys disagree with any of them, you can just talk about it in the comments. I'll talk to you about why I think that I would avoid these guys. So the first guy is Derrick Henry, RB22 off the board. His average draft position is the 4th round, 7th pick in 12-team PPR draft. So he's recovering from this calf injury that he suffered in training camp, I believe. Last season, the real problem with him is not even this injury that he just suffered. Like, he'll be fine by the start of the season, but last season was two different stories. The beginning, the first part of the season, weeks 1 through 12, he averaged around 8 points per game in fantasy football, and he had multiple 5-point games. Part 2 of the season, weeks 13 through 16, I don't count 17, he played fine in week 17 too, but you should only be playing fantasy from week 1 through 16. So he had over 20 points per game in the week 13 through 16, and he had two over 30-point games. So he went pretty hard in the paint for those games for you. But at the end of the day, if you look at it, it's two completely different tales. One tale where you're like, oh, damn, I'm so happy that I have this guy. He's going to win me my championship. And then the first part of the season, you'd barely want to start him. He had multiple 5-point games. You know what a 5-point game does to you? That's like getting a 0, but it's even more of a slap in the face because he actually played the whole game. And he did terrible. So I don't really trust him at all to be this consistent throughout the whole season. The Titans, in my opinion, are not that good of a team. And I think that if you're really depending on getting him as your RB1 or 2 in your fantasy football draft, if you go 2 wide receivers early, you're going to be very disappointed in your team and with the outcome of Derrick Henry. He's not even a pass catching back. So if you're playing PPR, he's going to get you nothing really from the pass catching side of things. 15 targets in 2016, 17 targets in 2017, 18 targets in 2018. What is he going to do? Get maybe 19 or 20 targets this year? It's just, you just don't really want that with someone you're wasting a 4th round pick on that's not even all that good of a running back. So the second guy I'm avoiding is Mark Ingram of the Baltimore Ravens. Running back 23 off the board. His ADP is the 4th round, pick 9. Now, the biggest thing against Mark Ingram, in my opinion, is this cluttered backfield. There's so many backs. Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, Kenneth Dixon, and Justice Hill. They also have other guys on the roster that will likely get cut when they go down to the 52-man roster. But what I do think is that maybe Mark Ingram remains starter for 4 or 5 weeks, and then they realize what they have in Justice Hill. Justice Hill, during the preseason, has played absolutely amazing. He looks like the running back for Baltimore's future. Mark Ingram really he's not that young anymore. He's been in the league for a decent amount of time. And I don't think that he's all that good at the end of the day. I don't think he's all that good. And I think that some of his value where you're picking him is just really not worth it. There's a lot better wide receiver options around him and even some good running back options around him. And another thing to worry about is Lamar Jackson will vulture his touchdowns. Lamar Jackson may end up at the end of the season rushing the ball more than Mark Ingram if Mark Ingram loses this starting job 3-4 weeks in the season because he plays not so good and they just want to start the guy that they invested draft capital on, Justice Hill, the rookie. So let's get right into the third guy here, and that is Sony Michel, Patriots running back, RB26 off the board. His average draft position is the 5th round, pick 4. He had knee surgery in the offseason. Now, this doesn't necessarily worry me if it was just a one-time thing, but he has a history of knee injuries dating back to college. There are a lot of backs on the Patriots, just like with Mark Ingram. There's him, Rex Burkhead, Damian Harris, just to name a few, James White. And I would much rather just draft James White on the same team for his PPR upside. He goes around the same area, and you're going to be more excited about having James White if you're playing in a PPR league. Now, the thing is, Sony Michel could be good, but I'm too worried about his health to draft him. I think he could be like an above 10 touchdown guy if he stays healthy, and I'm willing to draft him in certain drafts, but not at the 5th round. Sometimes I've seen him fall to the 6th round, and maybe I'm more likely to pick him there. But in the 5th round, if he's my second running back, I really would avoid going Sony Michel in this situation. So the next guy is Tarik Cohen, running back, Chicago Bears, running back 29 off the board. His average draft position is the 6th round, pick 2. The biggest thing against him is the emergence of David Montgomery. Now, last year, he had Jordan Howard in front of him, and Jordan Howard was not playing too well. So they would actually give Tarik Cohen the ball to run a decent amount of times. This year, I think that will be not so much. Maybe he'll get 5, 6 rushes a game, whereas in some games he was getting 10 rushes last year, I believe. And I think that he really won't get that much rushing upside. Now, in PPR, sure, he's fine, but if he goes missing for like a game or two, you're just going to have regretted picking him. David Montgomery will catch a lot of passes this year. He's a pass catching back. Jordan Howard had the hands. He had hands or feet for hands. He was terrible. He couldn't catch the ball, but David Montgomery can, and Cohen will be just okay. I just don't like the price in the beginning of the 6th round. If he falls to the 7th round, just like Sony Michel, I'd love taking him or pass there, but in the 6th round, I really just do not like his value. So the last guy is Lamar Miller, running back 31. His ADP is at the end of the 6th round, pick 11. So in 2018, he had 12.3 points per game in fantasy football as the number one back on the team with pretty much no competition at all to be that one spot. Now Duke Johnson is on the team. He could be a 50-50 split. Now I know you're saying, oh, it's not going to be a 50-50 split between him and Duke. Okay, 60-40 split. Then he goes down to like 9 points per game. The more times that Duke Johnson is on the field is going to hurt Lamar Miller a lot. Lamar Miller is also not a pass catching back, so in any type of PPR format, even in standard, it's still better if the guy's catching balls because he's still getting yards from it. I don't like Lamar Miller at all anymore now that Duke Johnson has been added to the team. Now, Duke Johnson does have that injury to his hammy, I believe, and I think that maybe he'll miss 1 or 2 games, but at the same time, you can't draft Lamar Miller in the pretty much the 7th round and assume that he will do just as good as last year. And even last year, while he finished with 12 points per game, he was just a very quiet fantasy football player. He got around 10 to 13 points every single game. You never saw him blow up. He will never blow up and score 20, 25 points and really win you a week. So I would just avoid Mr. Boring Lamar Jackson here. Like I said, if I was recording this video a month ago, I would have liked Lamar Miller, but right now, he is a definite avoid in my fantasy football draft. So, thank you guys all for watching the video. If you did end up enjoying, please go down below and click that subscribe button. It really mean a lot to me. It's going to mean a lot to you because, like I said, you're going to be dominating your draft, dominating the regular season, dominating the postseason, and winning your fantasy football championship from all the advice I will give you. So, thank you guys all for watching. Like I said, I love all of you. Have a great goddamn day. Goodbye, guys.